Wednesday night. Got flurries floating around out there. Maybe a half an inch of snow on the ground all throughout the great state of Wisconsin. We are starting to head towards the deep freeze overnight. It'll warm up on the weekend, but tonight and tomorrow, hide the naughty bits. Get them all frosted off at this point. But I'm sure for those that want to make some snow and kind of get their snow gear going, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to love it because at this time of year, we all know that this is when all the snow hills and ski hills and such start making that snow, start building in the pack, and then getting ready for the stretch run of this winter season. The Seahawks are going to play their third of 4 primetime games this season. This one against the Green Bay Packers at Lumen Field this week. The first home Sunday night football game since 2020 for the Seahawks. And the first Sunday night in front of the 12s since the 2019 season. Seattle holds a 24-8 primetime record at home. They are 11-6-1 on Sunday night and has the second best mark with a 35-18-1 record in prime time since 2010. Since 2010. It's the 21st meeting between these two teams as the Packers head off to Seattle. And Green Bay leads the series, by the way, 12 wins, 8 losses. The Packers have won 4 out of the last 5 meetings since 2015, with all of those wins coming at Lambeau Field. And each team, over the last 11 games played between these two teams, the home team has been a winner, in case you didn't know. Sunday night football coming up. Looking forward to it. And it's a Sunday night football matchup. Mike Tirico on the call, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark. There you go. All the things that you needed to know. So welcome into the program. Glad to have you today. Meanwhile, it's the first Sunday night football contest in Seattle for Green Bay. And overall, the Packers are 15-9 in the series. Green Bay has not played at Seattle since 2018. They last won in Seattle in 2008 was the last time they got a win there, including the postseason. 3 of the last 4 games, I should say, between the two teams have been decided by single digits. I would expect this is going to be a closely contested game, hard-fought game coming up on Sunday night. Packers back on the practice field today, which there's some good news. And that is Jair Alexander was a full participant today. Corey Ballantyne, limited, but back. No Javon Bullard, though. I don't expect him to play in this contest, to be perfectly honest with you. Limited today was Edgerrin Cooper, but he was back. Romeo Doubs, full participation. He still has the concussion. He's still in the protocol, but full participation today, which probably leads you to believe that he's going to be back. Isaiah McDuffie's got the ankle. He was limited. Luke Musgrave was limited today with the ankle issue, coming off of or getting ready to come off of the injured list. He's designated to return from the IR. He's in that 21-day practice window. So Luke Musgrave possibly could be activated for this game. Josh Myers nursing a pec. Josh Myers has been beat up. He had the wrist issue, and it was ugly, right? He couldn't play at one point in time. And the wrist was swollen up, and the way Mike Clemens described it to me, like it just was awful looking, right? Now he's got a pectoral issue, but he was a full participant in practice today. Lucas Van Ness has the thumb. We saw that get, we'll say, adjusted on the sideline at Ford Field, and he was back today, full participant. Rasheed Walker has been nursing a knee, full participant today. And Evan Williams also in the concussion protocol. Today he was back at practice, albeit he was limited. So the Packers, for the most part, they are they're getting healthy. You know, I've always said to make a run, you got to be good, you got to get lucky, you got to get hot, and you got to be healthy. That's me knocking on wood in case you didn't know. Hopefully, they're starting to get healthy at the right time. So now when you look at the laundry list of Seattle and their injuries, whoa, their list is about double what the Packers is. Leonard Williams, their big defensive end, did not participate. They gave him a day of rest. So he looks like he's going to play, but he didn't participate. You got Kenneth Walker, the running back, no go, got a calf issue. Laken Tomlinson, by the way, the guard, I know some people emailed me about him. He didn't practice today, but I think that's just kind of like veterans rest, to be honest with you. You've got Jarek Reed, the safety, not playing, quadricep, got a quad injury. Jerron Reed, the nose tackle, they gave him a day of rest. I don't know. I think he's just the non-injury related rest kind of thing. Also today, same thing with Boy Mafi, the linebacker, didn't play today. They gave him a rest. They also gave Tyler Lockett a rest today. Ernest Jones, by the way, the linebacker, he's got a knee issue, but I think today was a day of rest for him too, because a lot of guys not practicing today. A lot of guys not practicing. And then Michael Dickinson, the punter, he's got a back issue, but he was limited today as well. So they have got a laundry list of dudes. They got a laundry list of dudes that are all banged up, that are requiring rest. I think most of it, though, to be honest, between you, me, and the fence post, I think most of it is just they're giving guys time to heal up, just giving them days off. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to have just about everybody back, but I don't think there's much when it comes to guys not making the game this weekend. I don't think it's necessarily because of injury. I think a lot of guys were not practicing today. They were just getting the time off. So they were getting some rest. So, and probably much needed, to be honest with you. Meanwhile, the Packers, the final regular season game of the Packers that they have against the NFC West, they've gone 3-0 so far against the NFC West. 3-0. Don't forget, 3-0. They're 0-2 against Detroit, 0-1 against the Minnesota Vikings, but 3-0 so far against the West. Dating back to 2002, the Packers have finished 4-0 in a single regular season against the NFC West just two times, 2009 and 2021. That's the last time they've done that. And under Coach Matt LaFleur, they're 10-1 against the NFC West during the regular season. So the postseason, that's been a whole other example. And we all know San Francisco's been a nemesis time and again. Packers have won 10 consecutive road regular season games against the NFC West, tied for the second longest winning streak against the division since 2002. And it's going to be the third of four consecutive scheduled primetime games for the Green Bay Packers, which is the first time the Packers have played four straight primetime games in a single season since the merger, according to the Elias Sports Bureau. Going back to, they obviously had the game against the Lions. That was a Thursday night game. They had the Sunday game. Let me see here. They've got the game against the Lions. They had the primetime game against the Dolphins. They've got one against Seattle, and then they go to a Monday night game next Monday, the following Monday, against the New Orleans Saints before they go to a noon kickoff back at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. And then we're still waiting officially to hear what is going to happen with the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. Will that be a Saturday game or a Sunday game? And will that be a noon game, a 3:25 game? So we're just kind of waiting to see what happens there. But that's kind of the way things are shaping up for the Green Bay Packers. Love has started two Sunday night games so far, posting 3 passing touchdowns, no picks in each contest with a passer rating of 118.6. So at least it bodes well for the quarterback who is getting healthy and feeling better at the right time, right? So there you go. We got a lot coming up tonight. We're going to hear from Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur spoke to the media a little bit earlier. We're going to hear from Matt LaFleur coming up here in just a little bit after the break here. Then at the bottom of the hour, we're going to hear from Mike Clemens, who was live up in Green Bay. Mike was at practice today. Then in the next hour, Mark Schofield, SB Nation. You're going to hear from Jordan Love. We got all kinds of good stuff coming up today. Got all kinds of stuff happening. Yeah, Keith over on the live stream just said, hey, did you hear Joe Burrow's house was robbed while he was in Dallas during the Monday Night Football game? What does Burrow own that thieves would want other than maybe his fur coat? It's not just that. It's the fact that, well, first of all, these guys, I'm sure they all have quality stuff. I mean, come on. And I think it was in his $9 million home. It's either in Cincinnati or in Northern Kentucky, one of the two. But don't forget, on road trips, you've seen numerous athletes robbed this year. You saw Burrow just was the first one. But the other big news was when both Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes were robbed when they were on the road. Both of those guys came home to find that their houses had been broken into. And it's happened in other cities as well with other players that have gone on the road and burglars have found their way into their homes. So I would figure at this point in time, if you're making, $35, $55 million a year, whatever it happens to be, you would kind of figure, right, that you'd have an alarm system in your house. You got to have some valuable stuff, something, right? But, who knows? Who knows? So there you go. That being said, everything is now out on the table. So let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break. I want to come back because I do want to get the entirety of the Matt LaFleur presser in. Then we got Mike Clemens coming up at the bottom of the hour. It is a Wednesday night. It's a Bill Michaels Huddle. We're enjoying ourselves, and hopefully you are as well. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at Cousin Subs. Cousin Subs, where they believe in better. Don't forget, it makes a great gift if you just want to get somebody in your life a gift card, especially, listen up, parents, friends of kids, people that are going to school, younger people, they love gift cards, man. Love them. If you can go eat for free because somebody bought you a gift card, it makes a great stocking stuffer. That's our friends over there at Cousin Subs. You can get yourself the pepperoni melt, extra mayo, extra cheese like I get. You can get your turkey club. You can get your Philly cheesesteak. Whatever your favorite is, go in and get it from Cousin Subs. Load it up with the fries or the cheese curds, maybe one of their delicious shakes. That is Cousin Subs. Right here, locally owned, right in our own backyard, hometown proud, believe in better. That's our friends at Cousin Subs. Matt LaFleur up next on the Bill Michaels Huddle.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Hearts of fire, streets of stone, modern warriors.
Good to have you back. Hey, you're looking outside. You're thinking, man, it's blustery. It's cold. That's okay. Our friends over there at Dream Vacations. Maybe you're thinking about, hey, I'll get halfway through the winter and then I got to get out of here. I got to get someplace. I got to go put my butt in the sand somewhere, maybe a margarita on a beach. How about a cruise? Caribbean? Bahamas? Maybe out over in the western portion of the United States. Go out there in the Pacific. Hey, who knows? Acapulco. Sure, you can take a cruise, maybe an all-inclusive or a sport travel vacation. Maybe you want to go see the Brewers out in spring training. Do that. Michael and Melissa, they can help you out through Dream Vacations. All you got to do is call anywhere in the state of Wisconsin. Call them 414-208-4221. 414-208-4221. That is Dream Vacations, our good friends over there. Again, at Dream Vacations. Give Michael and Melissa a shout. Matt LaFleur spoke to the media a little bit earlier today. Let's take a listen to what Matt had to say.
Limited, Corey Ballantyne, Edgerrin Cooper, Glover, McDuffie, Musgrave, Williams did not practice. Bullard.
Are Rome and Evan Williams still in the protocol?
Yes, correct.
This is not a football question about Rome, but he's been out for a couple of weeks now. Is he okay?
Yeah, he practiced in full today. So I think we're making progress, but he's still in the protocol.
I'm sorry, Matt, did you did not say Jair's name there, right?
No, I did not. He was full today.
How encouraging, hopeful, what is
I got to go back and watch the tape, but from, when I was watching him, he looked like he was moving around well, and we'll just see how it transpires throughout the course of the week. And, hopefully he'll be ready to roll.
Is this the timeline you were thinking you might get Luke back practicing? Is it faster, slower?
Yeah, this is exactly where we thought we'd be. So he's done a nice job, with the rehab, and we'll see where he is, as we move forward, whether or not how quickly he can get back. Obviously he's going to get integrated back. And today he was limited. So, we'll just see where he's at.
At the time that he went down, were you concerned that you might not get this opportunity with him?
This has kind of been the target date all along. So, and we're on target.
So how do you get a guy like that kind of tough? Obviously, I would think you probably got to ease him just because of the length of layoff, don't you?
I would say so. Yeah. So you just take it one day at a time and add a little bit more and then a little bit more, and we'll see where we're at.
So
where Mike McDonald is a first-time head coach, first-year head coach having success, what impresses you the most about how the Seahawks look?
Just how much improvement they've made throughout the course of the season. I think in every phase, it definitely shows up on tape. I think they're playing really good football right now, winners of 4 straight. And so I think there's obviously a bunch of new people in that building. There's a learning curve to it, and those guys have adjusted well, and they've continued to get better all along the way.
Is that an aggressive blitzing sort of defense? I guess how you characterize what they're going to throw at you.
Well, I think they're going to throw a lot of different things at you, and I think they're pretty game plan specific, but they have their core principles. I think what makes them challenging is that they can throw a lot of different things at you, and you got to be ready to adjust to them.
When you think of their receivers, Metcalf and Lockett, but then Jackson Smith and Jigba, this guy's got 900 yards. What's his style? What do you see?
Yeah, he's a guy that we studied extensively coming out in the draft, and he's rounded into a pretty darn good receiver. And, I know DK's missed a few games, but he's gotten more opportunity, and you're seeing the production out there. So he's become a go-to guy for them.
Matt, you've never been a head coach and coached out there. How challenging of an environment is that from what you know? And it also looks like there's a ton of rain, typical Seattle in the forecast. Is there anything you can coach your guys up to?
No, I think, you just got to embrace the elements no matter where you're at. We've played in rain games, some sloppy weather games. Obviously it's a little colder here than it is out there, but I've been a part of 3 teams that have played in Seattle. It's a great environment for football. Their fans do a great job, and they've got a reason to cheer. Their team's doing a great job. So it should be an electric environment. I think it's going to be important for us to make sure that we can control the things that we're totally in control of. And that's just our ability to prepare for a football game, a really good team. It's going to be a playoff type atmosphere. And we've got to make sure that we're just on top of all the little details in order for us to go out there and perform at a high level.
What do you think of Geno Smith as a quarterback?
I think Geno it's been a kind of remarkable turnaround for him in terms of just where he started. And it's not always where you start, but where you finish. And it tells me a lot about the person in terms of his resiliency and ability to fight through some adversity. And he's a dangerous quarterback. Obviously, he's one of the top passers in the league right now. And he can beat you with his legs as well if you give him the opportunity. I mean, we all saw the end of that San Francisco game at San Francisco earlier this year where he made a couple plays with his legs. I think he's got a lot of talented receivers and tight ends to throw to. And then you add in the two backs, and their offense is just – it's improved throughout the course of the year. And he's a big reason for that, just his level to go out there and play consistent football.
He threw a bunch of interceptions to start the season. It seems like he's cleaned that up, though. What have you seen in that regard?
Yeah, he's doing a better job of taking care of the football. They're not turning it over as much, and obviously their offense is producing at a high clip right now.
How have you thought your run defense has performed the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think our run defense has done a really nice job, and it's going to be important in this game. Their back went off for like 190 total yards last week, like 150 on the ground. So, it's going to be a good challenge for us.
What was the difference against his lateral quickness at the elite level as you see it?
Which one? Yeah, Charbonnet. Yeah, I think he's a big back that can really roll, and he's a multi-dimensional guy. He's another guy that we studied extensively and really liked coming out of the draft. But he was given more of an opportunity last week. So I think he's fully capable. They got two elite backs.
Was that the most physical you saw your run defense against Detroit? There's so many short yardage situations.
I wouldn't say the most physical. No, I just think that I think we've established a standard for how we play, and physicality is a part of that. If you want to be good in stopping the run, you better play physical. You better play with great fundamentals, pad level, leverage, using your hands. And we're going to have another great game in that regard in order for us to have success on Sunday.
Matt, your offensive line's been pretty darn good most of the year. What did you think of how they were on Thursday in Detroit, and how much are you challenging them, and are they challenging themselves?
I just think it was a tough environment. We got to do a better job of being able to get off on the snap count. I thought there was some instances where they were kind of jumping the cadence, and there's tools for that and mechanisms for that to try to alleviate some of that, because that is your advantage on offense. So I think it all starts there with your operation, and we got to be better in a lot of areas in that regard.
Does that carry over then to a potentially loud, even though outdoor environment this weekend?
Yeah, I think it'll be. I mean, this is traditionally it's been one of the toughest places to play.
So obviously the standings are what they are. There's a chance for the division, not a big one. Likely going on the road in the playoffs, loud environments, facing what you faced last Thursday, and then this. How much does this set the stage and give you guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of ball left, and we got to handle our own business and take care of business. So, we're focused on this game, period. But I do think every opportunity for you to go on the road, I think, can harden you and make you better. And you got to be super dialed in all three phases. And that's why I was talking about the detail, because I think the detail is what separates a lot of these games, especially late in the season when you're playing good football teams, are separated by a couple of plays, and you never know when those plays are going to show up. So you better make sure that you maximize those opportunities. You're on all your little details in order for you to be on top when that clock hits zero.
Matt, when you go through the injury report at the start, and I don't want to jinx you in any way, but you are starting to get healthy at a really important time. Obvious question, but what would that do for you if you can get all these pieces coming back here down the stretch?
Yeah, I think every team that can realize their potential needs to be as healthy as they can be, and footballs are a part of this business. So, I mean, it is what it is in terms of the next man up, but obviously you want the guys that are your starters to be available, especially as you get closer to the end of the year.
Matt, what did it mean to see Kenny Clark be put up for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award?
Well deserved. I think Kenny has been just super consistent in everything he's done, both on the field and off the field. And obviously he does a lot for the community and in that regard. So it's a well-deserved honor and one that I know it's a great honor for every guy that's nominated in this league. And, hopefully that will encourage some other guys to get more involved as well.
I'm not on the field with him. Do you see him really peaking at the right time?
Who, Kenny? Yeah, I think Kenny's playing some really good football right now, and that's going to be pivotal for us moving forward. I mean, you need your best players to play their best in order for you to have the best chance of winning games, and I think that's what we're seeing from him.
With Alexander out, has that caused Keyshawn to do a little more heavy lifting? Have you put more on him?
Not necessarily. I wouldn't say it's more heavy lifting because it's just you're going to play what you're going to play. But I think what he's done is I think he's taken his game up another level in terms of every year. He's a guy that's shown the ability and has gotten better and more consistent in his football in terms of him going out there and performing. So Key's a guy that we got a lot of confidence in, and he's shown the versatility to play not only inside, but to go out on the outside. And not everybody can do that.
What do you generally see from Mike's defense? Influences from the Ravens? I know Leslie Frazier's a part of it. What do you see from the Seahawks defense this year?
Well, I think that it's a great scheme. They can throw a lot of different coverages at you, a lot of different fronts, different looks, and then you combine that with really good players, then it can be a problem. So I think Mike's done an outstanding job, and I know Adam Durde is there as well. And AD, he's a guy that I've known for a long time. I worked with him in Atlanta. I got a lot of respect for in terms of how he gets those guys to play. You can definitely see their style of play on tape. They're going to run to the football. They're going to punch at the football and be violent in that process.
Good. Should we dress extra warm for practice tomorrow?
You'll see. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you. No, I think right now the plan is if it's that cold to probably open up the indoor and go indoors just because it's still you got to have a productive practice. And seeing that we're going to be playing, I think it's going to be 40 degrees out there. So we're going to get it nice and chilled inside for you guys. All right. Thanks, guys.
There you go. That's Matt LaFleur talking to the media. And that's kind of what we talked about earlier today. I can't imagine them going out. Mike Holmgren used to be the same way. Mike McCarthy, the same thing, where, when it's, sub-freezing and sub-zero, it's hard to concentrate on getting your work in. So you want your guys to concentrate on getting your work in. You live in the cold. You know what it's like to be cold. You can open the doors and feel a cool breeze or the cool air coming in, but you don't need to go outside 9 below with a wind chill and get your guys miserable to play in a game where it's going to be, 50 degrees warmer coming up on Sunday night or, 35 degrees warmer coming up on Sunday night. So I agree with that. Some interesting stuff there real quick. And we're going to got Mike Clemens is going to join us coming up here momentarily. But he talked about when Jair was at full practice today, looked like he's moving around really, really well. He said, hopefully he's going to be ready to roll, meaning his expectations are he's going to be playing this weekend. He also talked about this being a playoff atmosphere and a tough place to play, that's true. But when you look at it right now and the way things are kind of shaking out, Seattle is on top. They are 8-5 on the season, and they would be then the 3 seed coming out of the NFC West because they are the NFC West leader. However, they're only a game ahead of the Los Angeles Rams. Rams get a win this weekend and Seattle loses to the Packers. It's a whole new ball game. And suddenly you can find yourself on the outside looking in. You can go from being in the playoffs and a division winner hosting a playoff game to absolutely on the outside looking in and sitting at home. So this is a big deal for Seattle, and it is going to be like a playoff game. In the meantime, the Green Bay Packers sitting at 9-4, still trying to catch Minnesota and have an opportunity to do so. They could end up with that 5th seed still and end up going, say, to Tampa Bay and facing the Buccaneers, or, if Atlanta wins the division, they can end up going to Atlanta rather than having to go back to Seattle or play the Rams in LA. So a big game in a lot of regards for both sides of the football coming into this contest here this weekend and here on Sunday night. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at The Water Doctors. Our good friends over there, John and Amber Atlee, had a great time with them this weekend, as a matter of fact, here at the house. Such good people, but boy, they've got an incredible product. That is the Kinetico Water Softening System. The Kinetico, I've got it in my home, whether it's laundry, getting rid of the calcification deposits in the shower heads and on the faucets, or just the drinking water, how safe it is, bacteria-free it is for you, for your kids, for your pets. There's so many reasons to go with the Kinetico Water Softening System. Anywhere in the state of Wisconsin, call them, a very philanthropic company. That is our friends over there at the Water Doctors, 262-549-7733, 262-549-7733, or check them out, H2, the letter O, H2ODoctors.com. That's H2ODoctors.com, or call them again, 262-549-7733. Mike Clemens live in Green Bay, coming up next.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back on a Wednesday night. Wednesday night in the great state of Wisconsin. Cold, blustery snow, flurries flying all over the place, but that's okay. Hopefully warming your heart thinking about the postseason and the Green Bay Packers heading in that direction. They're heading into Seattle this coming Sunday night. Mike Clemens live up in Green Bay, brought to you by the Bay Motel in Green Bay. BayMotelGreenBay.com is the way to go. And if you want to get yourself one of the packages that they have coming up for the end of April for the NFL Draft, go to BayMotelGreenBay.com. That's BayMotelGreenBay.com. Quiet, cozy, comfortable, perfect for a family stay. Just a mile from Lambeau Field in the Bay Family Restaurant. Home-style cooking 7 days a week. Again, check them out, 920-494-3441, 920-494-3441, or go to BayMotelGreenBay.com. That is BayMotelGreenBay.com. Michael, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good. I'm actually kind of cold. I forgot to bring my little space heater here for my little office in the media area at the stadium. But we went to practice today. Practice started just a little bit before noon. Then I called into you guys, it's sort of in between when they closed us out and then when we met with the players in the locker room. LaFleur had them go outside today, where it was like in the 20s. We had some snow in Green Bay here in the morning on the drive up. And then, tomorrow the forecast for Green Bay is going to be like 5 degrees, 10 degrees. And LaFleur said, you want practice to be functional. So we'll go indoors, may open up the garage doors on the Hudson Center. But Sunday night in Seattle for Sunday night football should be cloudy, chance of showers, and temps around 40 degrees at the kickoff.
Yeah, it's supposed to be real similar to what it was going back to, say, not the heavy rain, but what it was like when the Detroit Lions were in town. Some showers, and about 40. Yeah, it should be something similar to that. And you know what, Mike? I was saying Holmgren was the same way, and so was Mike McCarthy. Once it gets down to zero with wind chills and a negative, 5 to 10 to 15 degrees, it's hard to concentrate to get your work done. So that's exactly what they would do: is go inside, open up the doors, get it cold in there, but make sure that you get your work done and guys can concentrate on what it is they need to do.
Quick story. Yeah. 50 years ago, Packers just won the Ice Bowl, right? They're going back to the Super Bowl for a second time. No one talks about the Wednesday after the Ice Bowl when it was 15 below. And Lombardi's standing around the training room and said, come on, get off that table. Let's get out. We're going to have practice. And Nitschke says, I'm not going, Vince. I'm not going. He's got a trainer working on his frostbitten toes. And Willie Davis then later goes up to Lombardi and says, Coach, what's the forecast in Miami? I don't know, sunny and 75. Why? Well, just asking. And Lombardi gets the clue, and within a day or two, they get on a plane and practice the rest of the week for their second Super Bowl in Miami. Like, what are we doing in Green Bay, right?
Right. That's I got to get your work done, but you got to do it right without freezing your tuchus off. So I completely get it, no doubt.
So today we were back on the practice field, but this was our first chance to talk to Jordan after the loss in Detroit. He came, of course, and talked, right after the game. But now he's seen the tape. He's rested up. The locker room was in a good mood today because they had that mini bye. I mean, it's Wednesday now. They got their bodies back a little bit. They've got this focus now on these final 4 games. So, we talked about those first opening drives, and it just felt this way. I don't know if it'll look like this way on TV back here in Wisconsin on Thursday night. But, man, by that second drive with the Packers with the football, it's just like they're overwhelmed, man. It's too loud. They seemed to be a little confused. They couldn't quite find the rhythm until they started handing off the ball to Josh Jacobs and just, running it right up the middle. And LaFleur said after analyzing the tape, he was very open on Monday afternoon. He said, we wanted to throw the ball. We wanted to run the ball those first couple of series. As a matter of fact, the Packers right now are the most likely team to run the ball in their opening drives in the NFL in the last couple of weeks. But the Lions came out with their base defense, and they were like, say, go ahead, throw the ball, because we're here to try and jam up the gaps. And that kind of threw them. So I talked to Love about this today at his locker, and I said, when you're in that situation, are you changing your cadence? And what's it like for you in terms of controlling your cadence, the rhythm of your offense, your motion plays, in a loud situation like it's going to be Sunday night against the 12th man in the Seahawks?
I decide, in the huddle, all the cadences, and some cadences are determined based on, the motions we have, be able to time stuff up. But, obviously in these road games, we do silent counts. So it's not the same as, being able to use that cadence and mix it up. So, but yeah, I do decide the cadences.
In your first couple of drives in Detroit, and I think Matt even alluded to this, that you wanted to run, but they were letting you pass. I mean, did that kind of throw you guys in those first couple of drives? That the look that the Lions gave you?
No, I don't think it threw us for a loop or anything, but, I think part of their plan was to, load the box, try and stop the run and, make us pass. But I think, we were hurting ourselves early, put ourselves in some bad situations. And obviously third downs, we weren't good enough, weren't able to convert. And it all kind of just played a part in our slow start. So it's an area that we got to be better. Obviously, third down's been an area all season that we've had to, clean up and be better. But, I think they did a good job trying to get pressure and bring some of those pressures and just play man coverage behind it, and we weren't able to take advantage of what they did. So, I think we got better as the game went on, but it was too little, too late.
Might be a great learning experience coming out of Ford Field for what they're about to face in that playoff atmosphere out there in Seattle this coming weekend, Mike, and the fact that their head coach, Mike McDonald, has got this team right now atop that division. I mean, and they have to stay ahead of the Rams, because the Rams, they're coming on now and they're getting healthy at the right time. So this is a big game for them, for Seattle, because if they lose to the Packers and the Rams win this week and it's a whole different ball game, they could find themselves on the outside looking into the postseason if they don't continue to win.
That's a great point about the Rams, Bill. Yeah, Mike McDonald is 37 years old, one of the youngest coaches in the NFL. He's a guy out of Roswell, Georgia. There's actually one of the Packer players, I think Eric Stokes. He's a Georgia guy. Georgia high school, University of Georgia, not a college football player, a business degree, but got into coaching early, and eventually with the Baltimore Ravens. As a matter of fact, his special teams coordinator is Jim Harbaugh's son, who he brought along from Baltimore. But this guy was the Baltimore Ravens defensive coordinator for the last 2 years before, Schneider hired him, who's, the Green Bay guy that's been the GM for the Seahawks the last 20 years and had all that success. And so you got this Mike McDonald, defensive-minded guy, just like Pete Carroll was. And then, Geno Smith at quarterback. And we know about, DK Metcalf, how built he is. He's had some injuries this year. And Tyler Lockett, veteran now, but still speedy guy. But it's this Jackson Smith ninja that was out of Ohio State that is fast. The kid's already like up to 900 yards in receptions. As Jackson Smith Njimba. And I talked to LaFleur about this receiver and what they're looking for out of this guy.
Yeah, he's a guy that we studied extensively coming out in the draft, and he's rounded into a pretty darn good receiver. And, I know DK's missed a few games, but he's gotten more opportunity, and you're seeing the production out there. So he's become a go-to guy for them.
What do you generally see from Mike's defense? Influences from the Ravens? I know Leslie Frazier's a part of it. What do you see from the Seahawks defense this year?
Well, I think that it's a great scheme. They can throw a lot of different coverages at you, a lot of different fronts, different looks, and then you combine that with really good players, then it can be a problem. I think Mike's done an outstanding job. I know Adam Durde is there as well. And AD, he's a guy that I've known for a long time. I worked with him in Atlanta. A guy I got a lot of respect for in terms of how he gets those guys to play. You can definitely see their style of play on tape. They're going to run to the football. They're going to punch at the football and be violent in that process.
Yeah, Mike, it's a good defense. I mean, the Packers need to get off to a fast start. If you're going to get off to a fast start, it does two things. One, it puts them on the ropes, and two, it also quiets that crowd.
By the way, he just mentioned their defensive coordinator underneath Mike McDowell, AD they call him. He's actually a British guy. I forgot. He was one of the guys that LaFleur interviewed last year for his defensive coordinator before he hired Jeff Hafley. This is a guy who's been a defensive line coach for the Dallas Cowboys in his last job before he got hooked up with Seattle. So today we're out there on the practice field, and I called into the show and I said, you had that great discussion with Pete Doherty from the Green Bay Press Gazette, the great columnist, and you're talking about, overall there's something missing from this Packers offense. And don't forget, this is a Packers team that had such great games last year against the Kansas City Chiefs, of course, the Lions on Thanksgiving, and as we call it, like the masterpiece against the Cowboys, but they haven't really done that this season. Maybe their best game plan, Bill, was Malik Willis against the Titans.
Yeah.
And the 2 wins they had with him at backup quarterback, And so it's like, when is that Packers offense with Jordan Love back, and they're really, truly going to control a game and throttle up? And, you keep forgetting, you were supposed to have A.J. Dillon out there as a veteran, and maybe he would have been a better choice than Emmanuel Wilson or this Chris Brooks out there, although they like a lot from those two players as well. And then the other guy you've been missing is Luke Musgrave, the tight end, who made some big catches last year, had some injuries too. And that was, son of a gun, no sooner I get off the phone with you, and here's Luke Musgrave on the field today, number 88, and he jacked up his ankle in the Vikings game. He's known to just crazy play through injuries, but after trying to go back into that game and try and practice on it, then, they took him inside and said, you can't do this. You've got to have some surgery. So we talked to Luke Musgrave today about the injury and now getting back on the practice field today.
Yeah, not that that was this serious. I definitely knew that I heard it, but we kind of talked about it, and suiting up versus the Rams was probably more of like a reserve role. And then kind of that week in practice, I kind of reevaluated and looked like it was maybe a little bit worse.
Why did you go the surgery?
That was recommended. We didn't know that it probably needed surgery until after the Rams week.
Okay.
How's your body feeling now?
Feeling good. Still getting back into it. Still working into the ankle. But body feels good. Been in the weight room a lot, so it's been really good. But I feel good. Still getting the cutting back, but overall it feels good.
I realize it's some of this out of your hands. But you have a timeline in mind of that you'd like to get back out there?
I think it's as soon as practical. So I don't know if there's a timeline, but as soon as possible. But they'll let me go, I'll go.
What does that mean, though, to be potentially in the cards here to help with this team that's kind of push at the end of the year?
Yeah, I think it's that I can go out there and contribute in a positive way to the team, whether it's a limited role, wherever they see me. But so whenever that time comes, I'll be back.
Just from afar, what have you seen from the tight end room, Tucker?
Been awesome. Been awesome to watch. Fun to watch this team. Obviously, you guys know, really, really powerful team. So excited to see what we're going to do and be a part of it.
What do you hope to contribute as you continue to come back?
Whatever they want me to. Whatever they see fit. That's the coach's job. So whatever they see me doing, I'm willing to do.
Luke, I know you had extended time off.
We can get it off there, Jacob.
Yeah, let's do this, Jake. Let's do this. We're gonna go ahead and take a quick break. That's a pretty good back and forth with Luke Musgrave as he's coming back from the injury. Let's do this. We'll go ahead and take a quick break. We'll come back. We got more with Mike Clemens. He is live in Green Bay. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Huddle. It's coming up, and it's coming up right after this.
Oh, yeah. This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes.
Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Better Man is up there in Green Bay. That is our guy, Mike Clemens, on the ground right now and out of Packers practice and the press conferences from earlier this afternoon. So, Mike, it's a big one for the Packers. We were talking about this going into this contest and how, you know, when you look at this contest that the Packers, they need this one. There's some other news and notes going on. By the way, speaking of Packers, the whole Mark Gastineau, Brett Favre thing making the rounds, and you talk about an awkward moment. I never asked you about that earlier today.
Yeah, there was a 30 for 30 that's out about Mark Gastineau, the pass rusher from the Jets in the 1980s that had set, the sack record. And then there's this game. It's the last game of the year of the 2001 season for the Packers, right? It's, Mike Sherman's the head coach. Packers have clinched, a playoff spot. And it's like the last play of the game. And Strahan is one sack away from setting the new season record in the NFL. And so Gastineau approached Brett with this documentary crew at an autograph signing and said, Brett, you gave up that sack to Strahan, and it's ruined my life and my chance to get in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Here's that clip.
Finally met. You
we met a long time ago. At least I saw you.
Right.
How you doing?
When you fell down for him. I'm going to get my sack back. I'm going to get my sack back, dude.
You probably would hurt me.
Well, I don't care. You hurt me. You hurt me. You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
You really hurt me. You hurt me, Brett.
We got to get back to this, Brett. I'm sorry.
Now, I was kind of naive when this happened, when Strahan sacked him, because I just thought, well, Brett would never give that up, would he? But everybody said it. Even the announcer said it. Even the Giants announcer said, well, that was some sort of a gimme. Here's the Giants play-by-play.
It's sacked by Michael Strahan. And Favre ran right into him. It almost looked like it was a design play. They're buddies. He faked the handoff, rolled right, and then just gotta be kidding.
Yeah.
Mike Wall, the left guard of the Packers, was on the fan in Green Bay today. He said, I've never been so angry before. He said, that was supposed to be a 93 blast. That's the play. It was a running play that was called. And Brett is back there, and now today saying, oh, yeah, I was on a bootleg, and I wasn't thinking, I probably gave it to Strahan, but I don't think that's big of a deal. Well, Brett's now admitting that was probably a gimme. And 5 years later, what happens? The Giants come back here in 2007. They beat the Packers. They go on to beat the 18-0, Patriots in the Super Bowl. That year that they gave up that thing is the year that they went down to the Rams and Brett threw 6 picks, and they lost to the Rams 45-17. So not a special day today for Brett Favre. But, when it comes to Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers, they're family, okay? The kids keep screwing up, and someday they'll come home.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. I mean, I don't know whether that was staged or not, but Gastineau, it's like, come on, man, let it go.
Well, no, clearly Mark Gastineau needs some help. Yeah. And that's kind of what this 30 for 30 is about, too, that this guy is still burning and seething over seeing Favre just give up that sack to Strahan and hand over the record to him. But Gastineau seems to think that that's why he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
There are you remember, though, Gastineau was like a pro wrestler. He was nuts back in the 80s. And you've got to kind of work with the media and the community before people want to put you in the hall.
And he was an ass. People did not like that guy. And like Mike, when he goes on the Veterans Committee or whatever it is, remember, you got to have somebody friendly that wants to represent you as a writer to put you in front of that group to say, here's the reason they belong. I don't know anybody in the New York media that likes the guy.
No, to endure. Yeah, right. And so, whatever, that 30 for 30 getting great pre-publicity, no doubt.
Yes, it is, no doubt. Mike, great stuff, buddy. We'll talk to you later this week.
Thank you, Bill.
There you go. Mike Clemens up in Green Bay. We got an hour down. We still got another hour yet to go. Don't go anywhere. More of the Bill Michaels Huddle coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, number 20, Wisconsin's losing streak has reached 3 games following an 86-80 setback at Illinois last night. Nolan Winter finished with 15 points and 7 rebounds. John Tonje 14, while Max Klesmet chipped in 13. Stephen Crowell, he had 9 points but 0 rebounds. Head coach Craig Gard was asked after the game, was he surprised how well Illinois played against them?
I think there's a lot of parity across the league. I don't know if there's a dominant team. I haven't seen them all exclusively, but there's a lot of really good teams. But, we've got a long ways to go.
The Badgers now sit 0-2 in Big Ten play for the first time since the 2002-2003 season. Now they'll take a step back from conference play. They're at Indianapolis against Butler on Saturday, then a home matchup with Detroit Mercy. Turning to the Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo had 37 points. Damian Lillard had 9 of his 28 in the final minute as the Bucks returned to the NBA Cup semifinals by beating the Orlando Magic last night 114-109. With the semifinals for the NBA's in-season tournament looming in Las Vegas, they will play Saturday against the winner of tonight's quarterfinal matchup between the Knicks and the Hawks.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer, but did you know they also offer competitive home, auto, business, and life insurance? They make it convenient to bundle your insurance while saving you time and money. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
The Green Bay Packers, who sit at 9-4 on the season, return to practice today as they prepare for a trip out to the Northwest to take on the Seattle Seahawks for Sunday Night Football. And finally, yesterday saw Wisconsin football officially name Jeff Grimes their new offensive coordinator. Grimes joins the Badger staff after stops at Kansas, Baylor, and BYU. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Epo.
Are you ready for some football? He talks green and gold. This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels.
Welcome back. Oh, yeah, it's a Wednesday night. It's a cool, brisk Wednesday night. Packers getting ready to take on the Seattle Seahawks. Oh, yeah. Excited. I'm looking forward to it. A lot of stuff going on around the rest of the National Football League. And to do that, we bring in our guy, Mark Schofield from SB Nation. Mark, how you doing today? How you doing?
I'm doing well, Bill. How are you, my friend?
We're good. I don't even know where to begin. We'll start with the Packers game in Detroit last Thursday night. And when you watch that game, give me your takeaway from it.
I mean, I think the takeaway is this. The Green Bay Packers are a good football team. The Detroit Lions are just a little bit better right now. I think that's probably the best way to sum it up. I think, what we saw from Detroit in that game Thursday night is emblematic of their head coach. The aggressiveness, the willingness to go for it on fourth down. I think anybody that was watching that game Thursday night might have thought that, hey, it was a risky call. But I think if you are a Packers fan at the end there, you were hoping they kicked the field goal. You wanted to give Jordan Love and that offense one more chance to go down the field and potentially tie the game or even win the game. And so I think that sort of speaks to the decision that Dan Campbell made. I think the Lions are a very good football team that is finding ways to win. And Bill, you and I have talked at length this year about how they can beat you in different ways. But I think when you look at it from Green Bay's perspective, and we talked about this last week, it was a good game, a good performance. They gave themselves a chance to win. You would obviously, yes, you would love to see them come out and win that game. But they showed that they can play with arguably the best team in the National Football League. When Jordan Love is healthy, you showed that you can use the run game and be effective in the run game. I think what we saw from that Packers run game on Thursday night bodes well for the stretch run and into the playoffs. And I think the Packers showed that, look, they can play with anybody right now. Now, as you start thinking about, okay, what's that going to look like going forward, you want to find ways to close out those games. And so ultimately, I think the Packers are a very good football team. The Detroit Lions right now are just a little bit better.
Vikings knock off the Falcons. They turn Kirk Cousins over twice in that contest, and Sam Darnold just continues to play. Do we become Sam Darnold believers now? And I know there's going to be a team that's going to pay him because of what he's done this season, but I can't help but go back and say this guy has not been a great quarterback until this year. How much money and belief are you going to put into Sam Darnold? You know what I mean?
I understand that. I think what ultimately, though, may lead to Darnold getting a big contract is what's coming down the pipeline. Because as we get closer to draft season, quarterbacks, they always sort of get pushed up the board artificially. They get inflated throughout the draft process. When people start going down to Mobile for the Senior Bowl or down to Texas for the Shrine Game, there will be quarterbacks that will suddenly get some buzz. But in speaking with people around the league and watching this college football season and studying these quarterbacks, it's not the best quarterback draft class. And so with teams as it stands right now, you've got two teams, the Raiders and the Giants, at the top of the draft class that will probably want to draft a quarterback. That means Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward are the two right now being looked at as quarterbacks that might go in the first round. After that, there are more questions than answers. And if you're a quarterback needy team that is a little bit later in that first round, that's sort of looking at the draft landscape, looking at the free agency landscape, like take, for example, the New York Jets. Right now, they're sitting at 7. Now, there's obviously an Aaron Rodgers situation to play out, but assuming they go in a different direction, you might not want a quarterback that's there at 7. You might think about Sam Darnold, bringing them home. And so I think because of the way he's played this year, coupled with the questions about this incoming quarterback class, Darnold's probably going to get a good deal from a team, or at least a good offer, depending on what Minnesota wants to do. Now, ultimately, I think Minnesota will look at it and say, you know what? Thanks for everything, Sam. The team's willing to pay you a ton of money. We drafted J.J. McCarthy for a reason. Congratulations and best of luck. But I do think because of the landscape of this quarterback market that's going to play out these next couple of months, Darnold's going to get a big offer.
And I think he's going to get a big offer. I don't know how big. I mean, he's not going to break the bank. He's not going to be up there in the 50 million, but 20, 30 million maybe, just because that's a cheap quarterback at this point in the National Football League. I guess I could see that. But I can't believe I could put the words 30 million and Sam Darnold together. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're saying, but when you look at, what he did this year, coupled with the questions about this quarterback class, I mean, a frame of reference in a way might be Daniel Jones. I mean, you sort of look at the contract that he signed recently with the New York Giants, and now obviously, look, he's in Minnesota right now. And so, he's not going to be, he was not the long-term answer there, but you're talking about, I think, 4 years, $160 million, when you sort of get it into that kind of range, it seems like a lot of money for Sam Darnold. But when you start going through, the quarterback contracts as they are right now, there are a lot of quarterbacks that are getting more money than Daniel Jones when he signed that deal. And so it does seem, if you would have told me back in August that we'd be talking here right before Christmas that Sam Darnold might get $30-35 million per year next year, I would have wondered what in the world had happened this season. But like you said, the NFL is the world's greatest soap opera, and here we are thinking Sam Darnold might get a big contract.
Let's go to the soap opera side of things. I got to start with the Philadelphia Eagles. A.J. Brown speaking out. You hear that, between him and Jalen Hurts, they were good friends. They're not good friends anymore. It's leaking out into the media. Like, what the hell? They're winning. This reminds me last year they were 10-1, and all of a sudden everything just spiraled apart because of their egos and their petulance. Are we going to see this happen again?
We might. Let's start with the potential reasons for this and work backwards in a sense. You watch that offense, you watch that passing game, you watch Hurts against the Panthers on Sunday, and I couldn't help but think that he is a quarterback that right now has been told, like he's in high school, like he's in college even, just make sure every drive ends in a kick. Don't force it if you don't have to. There were so many moments in that game Sunday against Carolina, many of them with A.J. Brown being the receiver that was wide open, where you could see other quarterbacks would have made that throw, whether it was a lot of people have talked about that deep corner route in the second half where A.J. Brown was wide open and he checked it down on third down and Saquon Barkley. There were other moments in that game, even one of his more productive plays to Devonta Smith where A.J. Brown was open on a curl route. Corner is starting to break on it. There's a small-ish window, but it's still NFL open, and he doesn't make the throw. And so it seems like they have really put, for lack of a better word, the training wheels on Jalen Hurts in that passing game because the defense is playing well and the run game is very effective right now. So they're not taking the chances, and they're not throwing to receivers like A.J. Brown, like Devonta Smith, who other quarterbacks in those moments would be making those throws. So I think that's where the frustration stems from. Now, is it as big a problem as it's being played out right now with Brandon Graham's comments and other comments? That I don't know. But again, like you sort of alluded to, this spins us to where we were almost exactly a calendar year ago, where they look like a team that could really make a run. They're playing well, and the wheels just fell off. And so we're going to see from Nick Sirianni, he's going to earn his salary over these next couple of weeks, and even these next couple of days. He had his media availability today. He phrased it that they're ready to go. He was asked a lot about it. He just kept saying, look, we're ready. We're a team. We're ready to go. But if that passing game continues to sputter, it may still be enough with their run game and their defense to get them into the playoffs. But could they collapse out like they did last year? It's possible. If they're a team that is suddenly facing a 10-point deficit, a 14-point deficit, and they have to throw the ball, it's Hurts going to make the aggressive decisions he will need to in those kinds of moments. Right now, he's not. Does that linger into the playoffs? Does it become a bigger issue? It very well could.
I was very impressed with what Matthew Stafford and the Rams did. When they're healthy, they're a good team. I mean, they can still find themselves into the postseason. So you've got them. You've got the 49ers who knocked off the Bears. Obviously, Seattle is the leader right now out there. If all three teams are relatively healthy, who would you put the money on at this point?
Probably the Rams. And I think it comes down to Matthew Stafford. What we saw from Stafford in that game was, I think, evidence that in today's NFL, if you have a quarterback playing like that, it doesn't matter what your defense can do. And it almost doesn't matter what your own quarterback can do, because Josh Allen played a similarly almost flawless game, but it wasn't enough to beat Matthew Stafford. And if that passing game is clicking throughout the rest of the season like it was on Sunday, if that run game can be effective, and for all they do in the passing game, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, those Rams wide receivers do so much in the run game with their blocking, their insert blocking on the second level, their blocking downfield. When Matthew Stafford is playing like that, that is a very difficult team to beat. Now, Brock Purdy, Geno Smith, they're also very good quarterbacks, but Stafford has shown that he can win a big one. When he goes on a heater like he was on Sunday, he's almost impossible to stop. And you might have a very good offense of your own, like Buffalo. You might have a pretty good defense, like Buffalo's, at least against the pass. But when Stafford is playing like that, very tough to stop. So all things being equal, I give the edge to the team with the best quarterback. That right now is Matthew Stafford.
Then you've got Kansas City, who wins on a doink again, and they figure out a way to win. Don't get me wrong. They keep winning games. I mean, you can't negate 12-1, but this is not the way you kind of want to go. Now, granted, they could win the next 4 games going away. I just don't see it. But how much stock do you put into this team going to the postseason? I know they've got back-to-back championships. I understand all of that, but I keep looking at them going, oh, there's a lot of fallibility here. There's just, I can't believe this is going to be the team that's going to represent the AFC at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like at some point, they're hitting on 17, and they're going to bust at some point, because to win 2 in a row, it takes everything to go your way. To win 3 in a row, which hasn't happened before, you really got to have every break go your way. And so far to this point, everything has gone their way to the point where they, like you said, they get the doink field goal to win the division. Now, again, this is now they can point to, we are a tested team that will find ways to win. And I think many people in a one-score game, as long as Patrick Mahomes has a chance to finish playing on the field rather than watching from the sidelines, will take Kansas City more times often than not. But at some point, you think the luck's got to run out, right? Like the doink goes the other way in an AFC championship game, or, you don't get the field goal block at the end of the game in the divisional round at home against a team like Houston or somebody else. And so everything has been going right to this point. And yes, they're tested. They're a veteran team. They've been through it all. They have Patrick Mahomes who will find ways to win. But it just feels like you said, at some point, this luck has to run out.
I believe. I don't want to because I keep betting against them and they keep screwing me over. But
right.
I mean,
we're all at that. We're all in that point. We're all sort of waiting for it. And maybe it never happens. So maybe they're the first team that goes for the three-peat for a reason, because they've just – we always talk about that idea of the different ways you can win. Well, there's no team right now finding more ways to win than the Kansas City Chiefs, whether it's their offense, their defense, special teams. They found so many different ways to win. It just feels like it. Yes, I'm of 2 minds here, as you can tell. It feels like the luck is going to run out at some point just because they've been so lucky and they found so many different ways to win. And you can point to no 12-1 team in history has had a worse point differential than them, which is, I think, plus 56 points right now. And you almost get the feel. Remember that Steelers team a couple of years ago that was unbeaten to this point, but everybody knew, look, they're paper tigers. They're going to lose at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You get that sort of same sense, at least on paper, but yet you see them, you see the way they find ways to win. And you see, look, this is not Ben Roethlisberger at the end of his career. We've got Patrick Mahomes in his prime, who, again, a couple of plays in that game late in the second half against the Chargers where it's just, look, there aren't many people that can do that. He's one of one. That could still be enough for them to win this third title.
Give me your thoughts on Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. Russell Wilson certainly playing well. They get a 27-14 win over the Browns this past week. They're 10-3. They're obviously going to find themselves into the postseason when it comes to the AFC. How good of a team? How much should we be buying into everything that's going on in Pittsburgh right now?
I'm buying in more and more each week. And I think in many ways, Tomlin has shown over the years with his record, with his resume, that there are probably few coaches in league history, let alone right now, that can get a team to buy in to his vision, his leadership. And so I think he's certainly earned all the flowers that have been coming his way with what he's done with this year's team. I think you have to look at Russell Wilson and the way he's played. And, he's turned back the clock a little bit. You're seeing some of his big plays on Sunday in that game were him, sort of vintage Russell outside the pocket. But you're seeing him attack the middle of the field. You're seeing him make throws from the pocket, which at times in Seattle, certainly in Denver with Sean Payton, was a part of his game that wasn't quite fully complete, that wasn't quite there. He's doing that a little bit more right now with this team under Arthur Smith, and so I think he deserves a lot of credit. Good defense, physical defense. They can get after you in the run game as well. But Tomlin's leadership and with the way Wilson has sort of turned back the clock a bit, I think that's a team, if you're an AFC, like if you're Kansas City, the last thing you probably want to see on divisional round weekend is Mike Tomlin and company coming into Arrowhead, because that's the kind of game that your luck might run out in.
The NFC South, Tampa Bay right now leading that division at 7-6. Atlanta, with the loss that they took this past weekend in Minnesota, they're now 6-7. The NFC South, nowhere near what we thought it would be. We didn't think it'd be strong to begin with, but give me your thoughts on Tampa Bay and Atlanta. Who has kind of the edge as we go down the stretch here? Because I got to assume that the if you don't win the division, you're probably not going to the postseason.
Yeah, and I think Atlanta right now is in trouble. Each of these teams has one big game left. Tampa Bay is this weekend. They go to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. That's going to be a big one. Atlanta's game is against Washington. I believe that's in Washington. So they've each got one tough game left, and they've got winnable games against teams like the Saints, the Panthers, the Bucs play the Cowboys. And so, those two games in particular are going to be worth watching. But you see the way Kirk Cousins is struggling right now. Limited, almost statuesque in the pocket. They're doing some things schematically. One of the interceptions he threw against Minnesota was on a 8-man protection scheme with just one or two receivers downfield, and they still, even though they protected him as well as they could, he forces a throw into coverage because now you've got, you're at a cut numbers disadvantage downfield. He's really struggling right now, and it's holding them back. And, not that Baker is playing lights out, but as we talked about earlier, all things being equal, I'll give the advantage to the team with the better quarterback at the moment. And right now, that's Tampa Bay. Now, they've got a big one this weekend, certainly, but they win that game. That Atlanta-Washington game is next week. I'm here in the D.C. area. People already talked about that one because that could be huge for the playoffs. But right now, I'd give the clear edge in that division to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I think Atlanta sitting at 6-7. I mean, unless they win the division, they're not going to the postseason. They're 2 games behind Washington, who's got the 7 seed. But the team that's coming fast is the Rams, sitting at 7-6. They're only a game behind Washington, and all the jockeying going on in the NFC. So I agree with you. Hey, a couple more things before I let you go. Both New York teams absolutely positively suck. I can't believe that the Jets, the Giants, or the Bears are not talking to Bill Belichick. I find it amazing that Belichick is toying with the idea of going to North Carolina. Where would Belichick fit? If I'm an organization of one of those 3, why would I not be calling Bill Belichick?
Yeah, I mean, I think you would be calling Bill Belichick and calling him nonstop until you get an answer, yes or no. I'm very, when the word first broke that Belichick was talking with UNC, I probably, like most, thought it was, this is sort of an angle, to try to get some interest in him, try to drum up some NFL teams and spur them to action a little bit. But it does sound like he's very serious about this. There's reporting that, not only does he have this 400-page organizational Bible that he shared with UNC, but he's also trying to line up his son, Steve, who's coming off a season as a defensive coordinator at the University of Washington as the next head coach in waiting. It seems like he's serious about this UNC job. As far as where I would like to see him land, it's interesting because both the New York teams are probably going to need a new quarterback. And in Chicago, you've got the young quarterback. And so you think offensive-minded head coach, do you really want to develop a young quarterback under somebody like Bill Belichick, who we know is defensive-minded, probably going to want to run the football and things like that. But I really think any of those spots would work for him, and particularly the Chicago situation, because they've really put that roster together. I think they've done a pretty good job of roster construction around Caleb Williams. You've got Ryan Poles, general manager, who I think has done a good job in Chicago, and you just now need a clear vision from the head coach to finish the job. And I think that's a situation. We thought that Chicago might be a potential playoff team coming into this year. So he's going to have a very good roster to work with. Belichick probably doesn't want to coach and really do a whole tear down or rebuild like you might be seeing from the 2 New York teams. Chicago's the closest thing to a stable contender that's available. That's where I would go.
Mark, always great to talk to you, my friend, and we certainly appreciate it. And we'll talk again next week as the world continues to spin around the NFL, okay?
All right, my friend. Enjoy the games this weekend.
Absolutely. There you go. Mark Schofield, SB Nation, joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. Always great to talk to him. Always great to kind of go through all the storylines, the recap of the Week 14, the what's to come on the Week 15, and deal with all the soap opera stuff that's going on. So always good to get Mark Schofield from SB Nation on the horn with us. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Neiman Family Farm Services. Neiman Farm Services, they've been getting it done for a long time. God knows the farmers need the help. You may not be planning right now, obviously, but coming into the next season, you want to make sure you can maximize your operation, whether it comes to drainage, tilling, seeding, rotation, whatever it happens to be, it's worth a phone call. Just give them a call. Neiman Farm Services, 715-650-7988, 715-650-7988. That is Neiman Farm Services, helping farmers all over the great state of Wisconsin. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Let we go. This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. And the Huddle tonight on a Wednesday night, a blustery, chilly Wednesday night. Packers not practicing outside tomorrow. They're going to open up the garage doors and put the cold air inside the Hudson Center. But nah, baby, nah. It's you got to get your work done. And it's going to be, with the wind chill, it's going to be into the anywhere from 10 to 15 below zero, I guess, from what I understand. So it's going to be a cold one tomorrow. So they're going to open up the doors, but not necessarily be outside. In the meantime, Jordan Love, he ended up speaking to the media a little bit earlier today. Just take a listen to a little bit of it. Here's Jordan Love.
Important is to be productive in practice, at least with the conditions you can control, weather-wise.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were outside today. It was a cold day, and I think we got out there and got better today. But it's one of those things. We practice outside most of the time during the season, so we do get used to it for these home games and definitely the road games when it's cold. But I don't think it'll be as cold in Seattle as it is here. So I think we'll be ready.
What did it mean to you to see Luke back out on the practice field today?
Yeah, it's been awesome to see Luke. He was out there in pads and whatnot doing some individual stuff today. So it was great to see him back here. Obviously, had a tough injury. Didn't know when he was going to be back and if he'd be this season or not. So it's definitely nice to see him back out there. Hopefully we can get him back before the end of the season and for playoffs and whatnot. So it's awesome to have a guy like that back out there.
Most of the guys around you in Detroit, and, do they be able to hear you talk or make calls in Seattle? Could they actually hear you?
Yeah, no, guys can hear in the huddle. Obviously, it's one of those environments where it's very loud. So guys got to do a great job. I got to do a great job being able to yell everything out and just make sure everybody gets on the same page. But guys can hear. Once you get up to the line of scrimmage, it does get a little bit more difficult. But you just got to be able to communicate, make sure everybody's on the same page. And those guys do a good job if they don't hear something to be able to try and get up close and hear. But you just got to do a good job trying to be as loud as possible in these environments.
Do you change up the cadence? Is that up to you, or is that part of the play that gets called?
Yeah, no, in the huddle, all the cadences and, some cadences are determined based on, the motions we have, be able to time stuff up. But obviously in these road games, we do silent counts. So it's not the same as, being able to use that cadence and mix it up. So, but yeah, I do decide the cadences.
In your first couple of drives in Detroit, and I think Matt even alluded to this, you wanted to run, but they were letting you pass. I mean, did that kind of throw you guys in those first couple of drives? That the look that the Lions gave you?
No, I don't think it threw us for a loop or anything, but, I think part of their plan was to, load the box, try and stop the run and, make us pass. But I think, we were hurting ourselves early, put ourselves in some bad situations. And obviously third downs, we weren't good enough, weren't able to convert. And it all kind of just played a part in our slow start. So it's an area that we got to be better. Obviously, third down has been an area all season that we've had to, clean up and be better. But, I think they did a good job trying to get pressure and bring some of those pressures and just play man coverage behind it, and we weren't able to take advantage of what they did. So, I think we got better as the game went on, but it was too little, too late.
Jordan, this Seattle team, it seems like they've kind of gotten hot. They've got a couple of wins over last week, so it seems like interceptions for their defense were part of them getting those wins. What stands out to you when you look at the Seattle defense?
Yeah, no, looking at tape, they're definitely a really good defense. I think it starts up front with their D-line. They have a good D-line, so obviously Williams is a really good rusher, and in the run game, they got some good guys. So, they're solid defense all around. They're very sound. And I think the big thing with these guys is you got to stay out of the negative plays, going backwards, pre-snap penalties, turnovers, all those things is where they thrive. And obviously I think third down, they're pretty good as well. So we got to be able to just stay on track, have positive plays, and convert third downs. But, they're a solid defense.
What's kind of the mindset right now, Jordan? You got a month left of football, obviously. You're kind of well positioned. If you win a game or two here, you kind of know what your destiny might be now playoff-wise. Mindset-wise, do you lay it all out there? Do you hold something back? What about this last stretch?
Yeah, we're not holding anything back. We're keeping the same approach we've done all season, is taking it 1 week at a time. But with that being said, we're kind of in the same boat as last year. We're saying we got to win out. Our goal is to win every game to finish the stretch, and obviously, like you said, secure a playoff spot. But we're going to take it one week at a time, and obviously, all of our focus is to go get a win in Seattle this week.
Jordan, you talked the last couple of weeks about you being yourself again physically, but John's out there practicing now, Rome's coming back. You guys look like you're in a really good spot health-wise, when a lot of times that's not the case late in the season. What would that do for you guys to really just have everybody kind of for the stretch run into the postseason?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the name of the game is trying to stay as healthy as possible, especially like you said, late into the season, there's definitely, injuries that stack up and guys being out. So to have everybody, relatively healthy and to be able to have, our top guys out there will be huge for us. So to be able to get guys like Rome and Ja back will be a huge key for us, and to try and be able to keep guys healthy throughout the rest of the season will be something that we'll look forward to.
I know there was such a focus on not turning it over, not forcing the ball into situations, but when you're throwing it like you did Thursday, hitting it in those tight windows like the top of Christian, is there, when you go back and look at the film, are there instances where you're like, well, maybe I could have taken that chance, or maybe I don't need to be as careful as I was doing?
There's always plays that you go back after the game and look at on film, and you look at it on film, you think, all right, maybe I could have fit a ball in there. Maybe the coverage wasn't as tight as you think it was, but things happen so fast in the during the game that you just try and move on, and obviously there's things you learn from on film. But like you said, the throw to Tucker, there's going to be those tight window throws you got to make happen, and receivers got to do a good job of making those plays, making those contested catches, which Tuck did on that one. But there's always a handful of plays you go back on film after the game and say, man, maybe I could have thrown this play, or maybe I shouldn't have thrown this play. So there's always that. But that's the fun part of just learning, growing, and trying to be better for the next week.
I start to feel like you can put the ball.
Yeah, no, I always feel like I can put the ball where I want to, and that's part of it too. Having that confidence to be able to throw those passes. But there's always, like I said, a handful of plays too that might not come off or be in the exact spot that you wanted it to, or throw might be a little bit off. So that's where you just got to try and be at your best every play, be as consistent and as accurate as possible.
Jay, I think about, like the throw to Christian, linebacker coming in the A gap, you have to step up, adjust yourself, and then make that throw. Are those things that you practice, or is it just in the midst of the game? How do you kind of prepare to have those type of situations?
Yeah, no, those are the plays that, in the offseason. I practice with my quarterback coach, Steve Calhoun. We do a lot of drill work of, trying to make guys miss and avoiding the rush and just moving in the pocket, trying to make small movements. But this is stuff that we do all the time, trying to make a move and then reset, get back on platform. So it's cool to see stuff come alive in games when it does happen. But, even, an individual drill here during the season, we do a lot of drill work of pocket movement, staying on platform and be able to make those throws. So it's stuff that, as a quarterback, in the offseason, those are the drills that you practice, and who knows when it'll come alive in the game. But, when it does come alive, those are the ones you want to make.
At this point of the season, are you still doing a lot of
There you go. That's a little bit of Jordan Love talking to the media. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, you know what time it is. We're going to start to roll around the rest of the NFL, start to make our picks, and start to tell you who will and will not win. Last week, it was not a great week for me. Against the spread, I think it was like 4 wins. That was about the extent of it. But a lot of close games, a lot of games that are starting to mean something down the stretch. We'll get into all of that coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Kendor Marine. Hey, while the boat or the vessel is out of the water, maybe in dry dock right now, for the fact that, hey, you're not going to be out there cruising around in any waterways right now. Maybe you just want to do some things to it in the offseason, or maybe you've got somebody that's been looking for something specific, parts, new parts, used parts, whatever it happens to be. Kendor Marine, Kendor, KendorMarine.com. That is KendorMarine.com. And if they don't have it, you don't need it. Everything from, depth finders to cleats for a specific type of boat. Get our friends over there at Kendor Marine. Go to KendorMarine.com, based right here in the state of Wisconsin, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, to be exact, and huge supporters of our motorcycle ride, our veterans, also the big gala that is coming up on March 22nd out there at the River Club of Mequon for benefits, Big Unit Foundation. We cannot wait to have our first gala ever, and Kendor Marine is a big part of it, and we got to say thanks to them. More of the Bill Michaels Show, taking some NFL picks, coming up next.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Hey, I want to remind you, coming up on December 29th, That's a Sunday. We are going to be live from Potawatomi Hotel Casino in the Sportsbook. We've got a watch party going on. And if you follow us, if you haven't followed, if you've already followed us, that's great. Whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, whatever it happens to be, that's great. But if you haven't, do it, because we're taking all the names, all the addresses and such into the for the people that follow us on all our platforms. Going to get all thrown into a pot. Each week from now, between now and the 29th, we're going to draw a name, and you and a guest, if you are chosen, will win a $50 gift card each to join us at Potawatomi Hotel Casino for food and beverage. We're going to have a reserve table for you inside the sports book. We're going to watch the Packers and the Vikings, and we got the Green and Gold postgame show emanating live from there that day as well. All compliments of our friends at Potawatomi Hotel Casino, whether it's the gaming and the sports book, the bars, the restaurants, all the music they have upstairs, say in the Rock and Brews or the DJ. It's thumping. Go to paysbig.com to see more. But make sure you follow us on all our platforms, and we'll announce a winner each and every Friday leading up to our event there at Potawatomi Hotel Casino. All right, here we go. It's time. Let's roll around the NFL, shall we? Got a lot of good stuff going on. It is time. We got the Thursday night contest, the soiree between the Rams on the road in San Francisco at Levi Stadium, taking on Brock Purdy and company. Both teams playing much better football as of late. The Rams seem to be getting healthier. Puka Nacua is all that in a bag of chips. Cooper Kupp is back. Williams is running the ball with over 1,000 yards gained, 1,168 yards, total yards from the line of scrimmage, and Matthew Stafford is starting to light it up. This one on the road is, you're only flying to the northern portion of the state of California. The Rams are just playing so good, and the Rams the other night, with Matthew Stafford playing extremely well, beat the Buffalo Bills and a damn near perfect Josh Allen, who put up 6 touchdowns himself, 3 through the air and 3 running. I'm going to go with the Rams on the road. The Rams have the 49ers on the road, and if the Rams win this one, and then the Seahawks lose to the Green Bay Packers, which we're hoping they will, the Rams now will find themselves in the postseason. Things can begin to change rather rapidly. So there you have it. Now we go to Sunday's contests. The Dallas Cowboys are on the road. They're taking on the Carolina Panthers. Cowboys sitting at 5-8 after the loss to Cincinnati. They ended up getting beat 27-20 on a weird blocked punt. Their defense is playing well. Carolina, they're playing better, but I still don't think it's going to be enough. I'm going to take Cooper Rush on the road. I'm going to take the Cowboys on the road, which, by the way, they're better on the road than they are at home. They've only got 1 win at home this season. So their 4 other wins have come on the road. I'm going to take the Cowboys, who are sitting at 5-8, to go 6-8 on the season. Carolina is then going to go to 3-11 on the season. There you go. Got the Kansas City Chiefs on the road in Cleveland. Cleveland's played well. They just can't figure out a way to win. Jameis Winston, 13 touchdowns, but 9 picks in somewhat limited playing time so far this season. Patrick Mahomes and company just figure out ways to win. They got a doink to win the division, a doink to seal themselves as far as going to the postseason as well. They ended up beating the Chargers 19-17 at GEHA Field at Arrowhead. But I'm still taking the Kansas City Chiefs at the mistake on the lake in Cleveland to knock off the Browns. Browns will go to 3-11. 3-11. You got Miami. They're on the road. They're down in Houston taking on the Texans. Texans 8-5. Miami just trying to stay relevant right now. They still have a mathematical chance at getting themselves into the postseason. As much as I think the Houston Texans might be a better team, Joe Mixon is incredibly solid in the run game. He's got 1,131 yards total from the line of scrimmage so far this year. Nico Collins, Tank Dell, they're playing well. Miami's just been better with Tua. It's going to be a hell of a battle. I'm actually going to take Miami on the road to get this one. Miami on the road to get the win. I may change my mind between now and tomorrow, but Miami on the road. Going to take that one as well. Then you got the Jets, the lowly Jets, Jets. Aaron Rodgers, 20 touchdowns, 8 picks, 88.9 quarterback rating. Nothing to write home about. 63.1 completion percentage. Mac Jones right now. Mac Jones got a win last week. Believe that. The Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, because you don't have Trevor Lawrence anymore. He's out for the season. I don't know when to believe in the Jets anymore. Last week, they had an opportunity to take it down and still get themselves a score, and they didn't, and they allowed them to come back. They allowed Miami to come back and beat them in overtime. They're just making too many dumb mistakes. It's like they packed it in. I'm going to take Jacksonville at home. Jacksonville at home at 2-3-10 teams. Jacksonville rubs salt in the wound of the New York Jets. That would be a humiliating defeat. Washington, the 8-5 Washington Commanders on the road down in New Orleans, taking on the 5-8 New Orleans Saints. Washington got to get a win. They just beat the hell out of Tennessee, 42-19. They're going to do it again down in the Big Easy. They're going to knock off the Saints in that contest. I got the Washington Commanders going to 9 wins on the season and still solidifying themselves into the postseason. The Ravens, they're on the road. They're 8-5, taking on the Giants. The Giants stink. It's a dumpster fire. They got planes flying overhead now saying you're a dumpster fire. Baltimore gets the wins. They go to 9-5. They keep pace with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cincinnati, another opportunity to get themselves another win to climb back towards 500. They're sitting at 5-8. Their 6th win of the season is going to come this weekend in Tennessee. Tennessee lost to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's not any good. Tennessee lost to them. Tennessee lost 10-6. Cincinnati beat Dallas 27-20. Joe Burrow, fantastic. Jamar Chase, 15 touchdowns on the season. They're going to run roughshod over the Titans, without a doubt. All right, we got games coming up in the afternoon, and then the Green Bay Packers with the Sunday night, and then ultimately the Monday night game. So we got all of that coming up. Don't go anywhere. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Huddle coming up. This portion of the program, don't forget, brought to you by our friends over there at Big Unit Foundation. They got the gala coming up Saturday, March 22nd, coming up this coming 2025 season at the River Club of Mequon in the ballroom. Tickets are on sale right now. If you want to check it out, go to bigunitfoundation.com or scan the QR code. It benefits military members, first responders, and our veterans. More of the Bill Michaels Huddle next.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back on this blustery, cool evening here in the state of Wisconsin. We certainly appreciate you hanging out with us as always. Get back into it. We've now got the afternoon games coming up on Sunday, the Monday night game, and then obviously the Sunday night game between the Packers and the Seahawks. In the meantime, the 4:25 games, 3:25 Central, 4:25 Eastern. The Cardinals hosting the Patriots. Patriots 3-10. They're on the road taking on the Cardinals 6-7. The Cardinals are trying to keep pace in a pretty good Western division that's starting to shape up at least to be a chase. I don't think there's a real strength there other than when maybe the Rams are at full strength. But nevertheless, you got the Cardinals at home. I thought the Cardinals at home last week would win. They ended up getting beat pretty soundly by Seattle. 30-18 the final there. As much as I like Drake May, what he's doing, 11 touchdowns, 8 picks, they're not really kind of doing much. He's got 1,696 yards. He still hasn't thrown for even 1,800 yards on the season. I just don't see New England walking away with a victory in this one, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm going to take the Cardinals at home. They get the win. Then you've got the Denver Broncos, 8-5. I do like what Bo Nix is doing. Give credit to Sean Payton. At Empire Field at Mile High, I believe the Indianapolis Colts, even with Anthony Richardson coming in, he has not been at all what anybody expected him to be. 7 touchdowns, 9 picks. Jonathan Taylor's really their offense, and he's not even over 850 yards yet. He's got 804 yards, 922 total yards from scrimmage. And it's the Colts have they're missing something. They're not there yet. Denver, in the meantime, fighting to get into the postseason. They need another win. They got a win last week, 41-30, or 2 weeks ago, 41-32 against Cleveland. They ended up knocking off the Browns. I want to take the Denver Broncos at home at Mile High to get themselves a win in this one and to go to 9-5 in the season. The Colts go to 6-8. Now you got a really good one. I can't wait for this one. Can't get your popcorn ready. Can't pour a couple of beers. Here you go. There you go. Pour a beer for this one. You're going to need it, without a doubt. This one's going to be a good one. Buffalo, 10-3. They ended up losing last week at the Rams, 44-42. Josh Allen accounted, as I mentioned earlier, for 6. 3 through the air, 3 on the ground, 6 touchdowns. Jared Goff and company knock off the Green Bay Packers 34-31. It's in Detroit. Detroit's 12-1. The Bills are 10-3. Detroit's banged up front on the defensive side of the football. I'm taking Buffalo. A bit of an upset, but I'm taking Buffalo. Otherwise, this will prove to me that Detroit really is the best team in the National Football League. There you have it. Going with Buffalo on the road. Maybe it's wishful thinking. I don't know. Maybe it is. The next game on the docket out in L.A. at SoFi Stadium, you got the Chargers hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay, if Tampa Bay gets a win, they are on top, and they then have the ability to win the NFC South. They're fighting for a postseason berth because the team that ends up second is not going to end up in the postseason. I'll tell you that right now. They got to win. The Chargers, who just took a loss in a hard-fought game at Kansas City, have now lost a couple. This one's a tough one for me. I really like the Chargers at home, and I hate to say it, but Harbaugh has that team playing extremely well. And the only reason they lost was because the Kansas City Chiefs doinked one through the uprights. I'm taking the Chargers at home. Tampa Bay goes to 7-7. The Chargers go to 9-5 on the season. Another good one. This time it's going to be at the Lincoln Financial Field. Philadelphia sitting at 11-2. Here come the Pittsburgh Steelers, the men of steel. Russell Wilson having a hell of a season. 12 touchdowns, 3 picks. He's running the ball all over the place. Najee Harris, 1,126 total yards from scrimmage. They come with a really strong defense as well, led by T.J. Watt. Fantastic. In the meantime, you got sniping going on, man. You got A.J. Brown not happy. Him and Jalen Hurts apparently have had a falling out. Saquon Barkley's all that in a bag of chips. But what the hell's going on in Philadelphia? Are they going to begin their own demise? I'm going to say yes. Pittsburgh, a road win at the Link. They're going to put pressure. They're going to put pressure all over Jalen Hurts. I don't know if they're going to be able to stop Saquon Barkley, but at least you try to contain him. Give him his yards, but don't let him get into the end zone. In the meantime, beat the hell out of Jalen Hurts. Make him throw a couple. He can throw a couple, although he's got a great season going. He's only thrown 5 touchdowns or 5 interceptions all season long. Quarterback rating of 102.4. I'm taking Pittsburgh on the road to get this one. And then you got it Monday night. The NFC North. The Vikings, U.S. Bank Stadium, hosting the Chicago Bears. The absolutely, positively, sucktastic Chicago Bears. Vikings win this game. They win the game damn near going away. Sam Darnold having a hell of a season. Sam Darnold, by the way, a quarterback rating of 108.1, 28 touchdowns, only 10 picks in the season. Caleb Williams, it's just not his season. Not his season. I'm taking the Vikings. And then you got it. Coming up. There you have it. Monday, Sunday, night football. The Green Bay Packers heading out to Seattle. And they're going to be taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks need this one, too, if they're going to keep pace. They got to get it. It's going to be a playoff atmosphere, I think, 100%. I got a bad feeling about this one. The home team in this series, the last 11 games, has gone on to win. Geno Smith having a good season. I think the Packers are ready to start hitting their stride a little bit. They're going to get back to full strength. Oh, God, I hate this, but I'm taking the Packers. Every time I take the Packers to win, they end up losing. I'm jinxing it. I know I am, but I got to go with my head and my heart on this one. I'm going to take the Packers to get the win. There you have it. Packers get the win in Seattle. Maybe they don't beat the spread, but the Packers get the win in Seattle. There you have it. Hey, it's been a hell of a Wednesday night. Great stuff tonight. Great stuff. Appreciate it very much. We'll be back at it again tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Time on Friday as well. Don't forget the Green and Gold postgame show live after the fact, immediately after the Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Seahawks culminate their day. Enjoy the holidays. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. And, oh, man, cross your fingers that the Packers are able to get back to full strength and knock off the Seattle Seahawks and come back home with a head of steam.